In the history of boxing, there have been many champions who have lost their title and tried to come back and regain their championship in return bouts, particularly in the heavyweight division. In 1927, Jack Dempsey made the attempt against Gene Tunney. 1 year earlier, Dempsey was dethroned by Tunney, losing a unanimous 10-round decision. Now here in the second fight, Tunney is again winning on points. In the 7th round, Dempsey suddenly tags Tunney with a tremendous blow. Tunney goes down, but referee Barry will not start the count until Dempsey goes to a neutral corner. Here, in one of the most controversial moments in the history of boxing, many believe that Tunney was given an extra 4 to 6 seconds to recover from the blow. Tunney gets up and continues to outbox Dempsey the rest of the way to retain the title. In June of 1936, Chancellor Adolf Hitler of Germany and his Nazi party had been in power a little more than 3 years, professing the Aryan racial philosophy that the white man was the superior race. This philosophy was put to the test in June 1936, when unbeaten heavyweight Joe Louis met German champion Max Schmelling. The unbeaten Brown Bomber was the heavy favorite to win, but in the 4th round, Schmelling sent Louis to the canvas with a tremendous right hand. Louis never recovered. He was finally sent to the canvas for good in the 12th round. Nazi propagandists used this fight as the proof that there was such a thing as a German Superman.
Shaking his head. The fight is over.
Though Joe Louis knocked out James J. Braddock to win the heavyweight championship 1 year later, he would not be satisfied until he again met Schmelling in the ring. This took place almost 2 years to the day of their first fight in June 1938 at New York's Yankee Stadium. Again, the Nazi press heralded the fight as the battle between a German Superman and the inferior black champion. From the opening bell, Louis was devastating. Unemotional as always, he rocked Schmelling all over the ring. Not only did Louis want to win, he wanted to do it in the 1st round.
Is going down. But he held to his feet, held to the rope, looked to his corner in helplessness, and Schmelling is down. Schmelling is down. And Louis right and left to the head.
Twice he floored Schmelling. Then he went to the body and head, crushing Schmelling with devastating punches.
Right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmelling is down. The count is 5, 6, 7.
It was all over. The myth of Nazi supremacy was dissolved a little over a year before the start of World War II. Years later, there was another devastating puncher who had something to prove. Unbeaten Rocky Marciano was up against Jersey Joe Walcott, the heavyweight champion of the world. In the 1st round, Marciano was hit by a left hook, and for the first time in his career is knocked down. Finally, in the 13th round, Marciano, well behind on points, lands a crushing right.
Walcott is back to the rope, takes a right to the jaw. Walcott is staggered and helpless on the ropes with right to the jaw. Walcott is and they're counting over him. It may be a knockout. I don't think Walcott can get up. It's going to be a knockout for Marciano. And we have a new heavyweight champion of the world. It is Rocky Marciano.
Former champion Sonny Liston tried twice against Muhammad Ali. In 1964, Liston failed to answer the bell in the 6th round of the first fight. Now he would try again. The knockout would be for all time known as Muhammad Ali's Phantom Punch. June 20th, 1960. At the New York Polo Grounds, history was made in heavyweight boxing. Floyd Patterson is in the ring against champion Ingemar Johansson of Sweden. 1 year earlier, Johansson knocked Patterson down 7 times in the 3rd round on his way to winning the crown. Patterson's paralyzing punch sends Johansson to the canvas. His leg twitches as he is counted out. Floyd Patterson becomes the first heavyweight in history to regain the heavyweight crown after losing it. In March 1971, one of the great oddities of sport, a former heavyweight champion attempts to win back his crown even though he was undefeated. That took place in the first title bout between undefeated champion Joe Frazier and the undefeated challenger Muhammad Ali. Ali lost his title earlier because he refused to report for military service. In the 15th round, Frazier knocked Ali down, then went on to win the decision and retain his title. Muhammad Ali came back to win a decision in their return bout, and now the stage was set in 1975 for the third and deciding meeting, what history would later term the Thriller in Manila. It turned out to be one of the most punishing fights in heavyweight history, with both Ali and Frazier in total exhaustion in the last rounds. It ended with Frazier unable to answer the bell for the 15th round. But the bout was costly for both fighters. Neither one was ever the same again. In the long history of the heavyweight division, there is continued discussion as to who is the greatest puncher. Names like John L. Sullivan, Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano have all received votes. But there are many who believe that Mike Tyson is the greatest of them all, evident by his punching power against Trevor Berbick. And then against Michael Spinks. The lighter divisions have also seen incredible finishes. When Rocky Graziano met Tony Zale in their third and final fight more than 4 decades ago, Zale was in his mid-30s and Graziano was 8 years younger. They had split their first 2 bouts, Zale pulverizing Graziano in the first one, and Graziano coming back in the return to knock Zale into helplessness. Graziano was expected to easily dispose of his older opponent when they met for the 3rd time. But Zale lived up to his nickname as the Man of Steel.
Graziano down. He pulls himself to the ropes. He's trying to get up. He's on his knees. He's up. Zale ready to go after Graziano. A right to the head, a left to the head, a right to the body, a right to the head. Graziano trying to keep his feet. Struggles clear. Gets out to the middle of the ring. Graziano, a left hook and he's down. He's down. And this time I don't think he's getting up.
Tony Zale, at age 34, has regained his middleweight championship. 2 magnificent finishes were turned in by fighters sharing the same nickname, Sugar Ray. In the first historic Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns battle, the ending found a helpless Hearns unable to continue. 8 years later, they would fight again to a draw. But the other Sugar Ray, Robinson, surely earned the title as the greatest pound-for-pound all-around fighter in the history of the sport. It was well known that he was the class boxer, but his punching power was never more evident than in his return bout with Gene Fullmer, a year after he lost a decision to Fullmer in a brutal bout. Fullmer had never been knocked down.
Separates the 2 men. Fullmer pressing forward.
Now, here in the championship, with 1 punch, Robinson knocks Fullmer down and out to regain his world championship.